The bit I want to focus on the Suella Braverman stuff is literally what she's making the law to do. Because as I see it, as I read it, the plan is to, and I'm quoting here, stop those who cause nuisance, fine, by pitching tents in public spaces. What does a public space mean? Because I tell you what, if Suella Braverman sees Glastonbury, she's going to have a fit. David's in Chorley. David.
Tom, hi. I decided to binge watch the drama on BBC One, which is called Time, 3 episodes of a woman's prison. And in one of the episodes, one of the main characters was being released from prison after serving their sentence. And while she'd been in prison, she'd lost her home. And there's a conversation that takes place with a social worker saying to her, we haven't managed to find you somewhere to live, so we've got you a tent. And I thought, that's crazy. That drama's gone too far now. So I Googled it, and that's right. You are given a tent if you leave prison with nowhere to live. So the government is creating a problem that Suella Braverman is saying is unacceptable. They're actually giving tents to people with no fixed abode once they leave prison to go and live in. And there's also people who live in tents that actually choose that way of life because they don't like to be with other people. They don't want to be in a hostel, in a home where they've had bad experiences before. And I know that because I'm one of those people, like many people do, that will find someone in the street, ask them if they like a hot cup of tea. And sometimes I've said, do you want a hotel night? Do you want to sleep somewhere tonight? No, I don't. You'll be wasting your money. I like to have my own space. I like to go where I feel safe. And these people have their own mental needs and issues that they decide they do not want to be within 4 walls. But this giving a tent to prisoners, I don't know if she's actually done any research about the problem that she's actually become a part of.
And what happens to the person? And I can't think there are that many, but let's carry on with your example. And again, I think there's an example in this documentary, actually, a guy who, round here, sleeps around Piccadilly Circus in a tent or in a doorway or whatever, and has done for years and years and years because he prefers it like that. And you think, OK, bit tricky, but, your choice. If you take their tent away, it's a doorway or an archway or under a bridge, or it's something else, isn't it?
Basically, yes. You're taking away the only form of independence and security that they might have in their lives. They feel safe in these tents. It's their home. It's grotesque what she's suggesting without understanding it. Maybe she needs to do like some people have done in the past and go back to the floor and just go out there with no money and see how you get on, Suella. See how you actually manage and see whether you'd like to have your tent taken off you when there's nowhere else to live.
You might have spoke before, but on the chat that's been, I'm still in the old Volvo, 15 months now, but when it comes to lifestyle choices, some people will quite like that sort of style, just the same with any other thing, but most people that I know of, I know some people that are actually in tents, and the other night, 4 of it, I got them all in my car just so they could warm up with the heater. They're freezing, they're cold. It's not a lifestyle choice, but like in my circumstances, it's universal credit that are putting most people on the streets because it put me on the street. When I had to give up work and the system gave me a pittance, I think I told you before, I went from $350 to £148 a month after 45 years working. What are you supposed to do? I'm now, after I've been through the disability assessment, and even the lady said your legs are in a bad way, I'm on £435 a month. And they've told me I will get no more than £124 a week housing benefit, but you tell me what you're supposed to do.
And you've, as a result, Gary, living in a Volvo?
The last 15 months with arthritis, which is obviously getting worse, and the bit of money that I do get, people say to me, I've heard it before, well, how come he can afford a mobile phone? This mobile phone I'm speaking on is 11 years old, it's got buttons, and every penny that I try and keep going is to keep the car going. That's
Gary, can I
why
ask
people
you,
like me, we have to go to the food banks and bin diving at night.
I was going to ask, what do you do to keep yourself occupied during the day if you've only got the Volvo to rattle around in?
Well, you have to, because like you said, in my experience, the police are good. There's one particular copper, and he said, no matter what that Home Secretary says, none of my colleagues will ever stop anyone giving a tent to somebody, no matter what law she passes. And it's the same, as long as your vehicle's legal, there's ways around it when it comes to, like, address for insurance and stuff, which, as long as it's legal and that. But, in the daytime, you literally, today, I parked down near, a bit of a deserted railway line just to save the fuel, because I know I'm going to be burning the fuel tonight because it's going to be cold.
Gary.
But the thing is, I look at it, because I've done a lot of tough things in my life and stuff, and I'm even an ex-Boy Scout, but I look a bit like homelessness, what I'm going through, a bit like being on a desert island, Robinson Crusoe, hoping that one day something's going to change and get better. But all this rubbish, this government, and it is all this, they've got no idea. I'm sure they've all been took over by aliens. Most people that I know that are homeless, and I know a lot of people now that most of them don't want to be there, but universal credit is rubbish.
Can I ask you about family, though, Gary? Because I'm just imagining the situation of, you try and put yourself in the situation that you've described, which is just awful, absolutely awful. But do you have? Could you stay with? I don't know. Have you got kids? Have you got a partner? Have you got mum or dad? Just is there a family that you could lean on? Go, hang on a minute. We can't have Gary sleep in the Volvo for 15 months. That's terrible.
I don't want to go into the past, buddy. Like I say, I've had some tough times, but right. I was married, but unfortunately.
So there is literally
my wife and my little boy were killed in a car crash a long time ago, and well, it's been tough, mate. I'll tell you. But I'll tell you what, it's not going to break me.
I was just hearing the gentleman who you were talking to. Yes. It is really a heartbreaking situation. So I felt compelled to call and just, say to him that he really needs to see if he can access some funds, if he could go to Citizens Advice Bureau or Age UK, because I was just telling your researcher, I'm a local councillor and a couple of people were in dire straits and they were able to access money in my ward by literally going to somebody who understands the benefits and system, and both of them were able to access through sort of some disability payments, but they were elderly, and it feels to me that this gentleman could probably be able to access some funds he doesn't even know about.
I can't, Sam, I don't want to believe that this is a country in which every avenue is exhausted to the point where someone has to have no other choice than end up sleeping in their car for 15 months. That absolutely cannot be right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just disgraceful what he was describing. A man who's worked 40 years as well. Yeah. But, he's in a car and he's obviously not got an address and he doesn't know who his counsellor is probably. But I am sure 100% that if he tries to contact whoever, that plot that he stood at, the counsellor, Citizens Advice Bureau, Age UK, there are so many compassionate people there that will push for him. He needs somebody to push and just to go through the benefit system, because I can't absolutely believe that he's not going to be able to access any more money, and he really, really needs it.